Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Who Asked You for This Review. I'm joined by my hosts, Kalib LaChapelle and Ross Parker, and we're going to be reviewing WandaVision, Episode 4.
Entirely in ASMR.
Exclusively in ASMR.
No, we're not. We're just making
No,
fun
no,
of
we're
that.
not. We're not.
It's honestly, I think I've said this before on the podcast. ASMR is just, it's borderline pornography noise.
Oh no, yeah.
It's
Yes.
like borderline. All right,
That's what
cool.
it is.
It's borderline. All right, guys. Episode 4 dropped. Is it episode 4 or 3? 4.
4.
This not spoiler free. We're not going to talk spoilers here for a second. But Ross, give me your thoughts on it, and I'll write down your number because it's your birthday.
Thank you. This was finally one of those episodes where I got that, Alec. This episode was finally what we've been itching for on kind of fleshing out the whole outside story of it all and getting a bit more in-depth, a peek behind the curtain. And it was really satisfying to see everything kind of start tying together. I still think we have ways to go before we see everything pay off, but today we saw a bit of that payoff, and the show, in my opinion, not that it was going badly, but it kind of turned a corner into like, okay, I see where this is going.
We were definitely settling in, is what I felt like.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like,
that's a good way.
Those first couple of episodes were not like giving us a lot of just information, like new information. Like we're all
Right.
Marvel fans, and we're like looking for a little bit more. And next thing you know, it's just like, we've got like an overabundance of it now.
Yeah, 100%.
I've actually done oh, sorry, Ross, you need to give your score.
No, it's all good. I'm sitting here trying to think about how I want to do this. I liked it. I'm still not in the love it territory yet, or even great territory yet. I think I'm probably at like a 7. I'm torn between 7.6 and a 7.7. I'll just stick with being the high of the week and go 7.7.
7.7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
I am guessing that I'm probably gonna be the high score this week. Actually,
Oh,
Well,
I
it's more than 7.7.
yeah. I am going to. I'll just start with a score. I'm gonna give it an 8 even.
okay.
We're going into the
That's
8s here.
respectable.
I think this episode and a little bit of last episode, but this episode specifically is where we're starting to tie everything together. This show can be fantastic, and the first episodes could vastly be improved throughout the rest of this, as long as we get improved score-wise, and like in my mind, as long as we get closure on the stuff that occurred in the first couple of episodes. As long as we're continue to move in this direction that we're going in, and we continue to get closure on the earlier things.
Absolutely.
And I think we got some of that started this episode.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel like we got that. Caleb, so you're gonna go with the 7.8?
No, I'm giving it an 8.
8 flat.
8 flat. All right, cool. All right, so I'm gonna say for me, I'll go with the number first, and then I'll give you guys my review for it, because this is gonna be interesting. I'll give it a 7.9, which makes Ross
The tables have
lowest
turned.
graded.
The turns have tables.
Yeah, how the turntables.
Because this episode brought in a lot, and I feel like
Tons.
Caleb is right. I
Yes.
mean, it just elevated the game. The first 3 episodes were very much kind of settling in. It was moving into Eastview is what we were doing.
They were
And now we
cool, and they
know-
were like, they were weird, and that's cool because the MCU hasn't been weird in a while.
No, I think I think it was great. Obviously like the tonality of a 60s, 50s, and 70s TV show just doesn't really hit us well. I think 80s, 90s, and like the 2000s ones are really gonna click with us. That comedy is gonna be better. It's gonna hitting us a lot better. But that like tonality and structure just didn't settle with me. So the storyline, even though good, plotline great, just didn't hit.
I
And to
really
go-
hope there's a bar in the 90s the 80s episode, and we just get a Cheers episode.
I was
hope there's a
just
bar in
thinking that.
Westview, and we just get a Cheers episode.
Friends.
I
I think we're definitely gonna get what's Full House.
I think we're
Olsen
gonna get
twins?
I think we're gonna get an
that's-
Office episode.
I think
No,
we're
I
gonna
think
get Full House.
I think we're gonna get straight up like
I think
into
you're
the
gonna get
camera
Modern
talking.
Family. Well, that's Modern Family then.
I think Alec's right, and I think we're going to get more of a Full House style episode. But to go one step further on what Caleb said, this was wonky and weird. It was different. Not that there's anything wrong with that, and we're cool with that. The problem is that the first probably 2.5 into episode 3, we just weren't seeing it pay off.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of our hesitance with the show. And now with episode 4, we're getting that.
Which is also fine. It's fine if you set stuff up in the first couple episodes that isn't going to pay off until the end of the season. That's just how TV works. And when we're in this age of binging, right? It that's not a style that's used a lot anymore, but it's a common style in TV.
I mean, The Mandalorian. I was going to say The Mandalorian literally set up a bunch of stuff with characters in season 1 that we thought were throwaways that got brought back in season 2, a full 6, 7, 8 episodes later.
We didn't know Grogu's name until like 15 episodes into the show.
Yeah.
Yep. That's why we call him Baby Yoda still.
He's still Baby Yoda.
And we call Mando because we didn't learn his name was Din Djarin until like the last episode.
Yeah.
Season 1.
Yeah. So they just really screwed up their names on those ones. But back to WandaVision. I think we can probably move into the spoiler territory.
Yeah.
I have 5 questions for today. We are kind of rushing through this in terms of it for us. But those were our reviews. Caleb takes the number 1 spot. I take number 2. Ross is bottom of the leaderboard with
Ross is the negative Nelly on his birthday.
I thought I feel like my 7.9. I was like, that's probably gonna be the lowest one. And then Ross just didn't give it the 0.2. Which
I mean, yeah.
I wanted to be, but like the thing is though, it's such a drastic change in tonality and storyline. Like we're obviously not seeing what we're using. So
even
that's
like
why
the camera work.
Yeah, it bumped up so high for me.
All right.
Let's go to spoilers.
This is your spoiler warning.
All right. Are we good?
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys the first question?
We need a fancy spoiler warning sticker or something to throw up on this.
We'll get a slide.
If you want to make it, I'll put it in.
I can make them. I can make all the stuff. I just it takes. It's gonna be generic.
Yeah.
I just don't know which question I kind of want to start with, but you know what? This is a question I really want to talk about. Is Vision dead?
100%.
Is he dead? He's
Definitely.
dead. He's dead, right?
He's dead, and Wanda's a necrophiliac.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I think I made a joke about this in like our review or something like that, where I'm like, there's been stories written where like a lady keeps the skeleton of her husband in the attic on a bed, and Vision's dead.
I think
Vision's fucking very dead.
If Vision's a robot and he no longer has consciousness,
is this considered?
Is he a sex toy?
Yeah. Is he? Is he like he might be. Honestly, by definition, he might be let's go with a pleasure object.
Yeah.
May not be for sexually necessary.
He's a pleasure robot.
But he's a pleasure robot now.
You know, I think I'm slightly more optimistic on Vision being alive than you all, but I still think he's pretty fucking dead.
Oh, he looked fucking dead.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's alive by the end of the series, but I think he's dead right now.
That's a great point. I think he could come out alive, but right now in this instance, he's probably dead. For instance, when we saw that picture of him and like his head was caved in again, I think that was Wanda getting sucked back into the real world and losing control of this conscious world.
Because that was right after she pushed Rambo out.
Exactly. Her concentration was lapsed, so it's very possible that she's just animating Vision's body.
Yeah, she also like rebuilt 8 walls at once. Like she's probably just gassed.
Yeah.
Also, it was
and has been keeping up a reality for however long.
A hexagonal reality too. It's not like a domed reality. We thought it was a dome or a pocket or just around the city, but it's a full-blown hexagon.
Yeah,
like, it's legit.
The one thing that keeps me coming back to the idea that Vision maybe right now is not alive, but could come out of this alive. The beekeeper, who turns out was just a sword agent, when he goes through, they tether him to this string. Mm-hmm. When he crosses into Westview. When he crosses into Westview, the end of that rope turns into like the end of like a fun plastic jump rope.
Yeah.
Detaches from him, and the agents pull it back, and that jump rope still hangs there. So that world came back into ours.
Yep.
Yeah. That'd be interesting to see.
So I think
For
there's
sure.
a possibility that Vision could leave that world. Maybe he entered it dead, but could leave it alive.
That's a cool thought.
Could be the afterlife for all we know. Mephisto, afterlife. Everybody's dead.
Could be.
It's a wild theory.
It's way out there, but it's just a random thought I had.
I think at the end of this, Vision might comes back. I kind of want to call that. I just want to see that happen. I think
And that
Vision's
would
a
make
great
me
character.
happy.
Yeah, I think Vision's a great character, and I want more of him. Paul Bettany's killing
more
it.
Paul Bettany could never be a bad thing.
No.
Agreed.
All right. So, but honestly, these first two questions I really have you guys kind of just point the direction of how horrific this episode was, just in terms of horror stance. Like that jump scare of
That was
fucking
scary.
terrifying, right?
Yeah.
Like you see, yeah. All right. And the next thing I'm going to talk about is the Blip Horror returns. We see Monica Rambeau return in a hospital where she was once holding her cancerous mother, RIP, who ended up dying 2 years after the Blip, who survived the Blip. But these people looked
Terrified.
like terrified.
Yes.
And we got it in Far From Home, right? We saw people in Far From Home, but it was comedically done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like-
We really
like-
got to see it on a ground, like what that blip meant on a ground level in the world.
When it wasn't being reported by high schoolers.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. It was reported by high schoolers, and they're like, the first video they had was a kid taking a ball to the dome,
Yeah.
which made us kind of gloss over the fact that when reality struck these people in this hospital, chaos ensued.
You think about crazy places. What happened at the jail?
Jails,
What happened at
airplanes.
airplane? What happened? Wait, if you're on an airplane and you blip out,
I assume you blip back onto that airplane.
you think so?
Yeah, because it definitely seems like it has to be located to the object.
Yeah.
Just
'Cause if-
midair.
Just if you blip back in midair, that'd be rough.
That reminds me
the
of
other thing-
Motherfucker.
The other thing is though, if pilots, what if they blipped out?
Yeah.
And they blip back in? Do they just blip back on the ground?
They're just like on the captain's
Yeah.
on the new captain's lap.
On his lap.
Could you imagine if you got blipped out? You're fully married, right? You blip out. You do. Your wife doesn't. You blip back to your bedroom and there's like another guy.
Oh God.
Like how awkward that be?
Yeah.
She wouldn't have known you were coming back.
And you
It'd be
can't you can't get mad.
No, it's the same plot line to Castaway. It doesn't happen. It wasn't going. All right, but that was horrific though. Monica Rambeau looked terrified.
Yeah.
A lot of those nurses, doctors, etc.
The hospital looked like the flashback hospital in The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
Yeah. that's
it
a good
looked
one.
terrifying.
Yeah.
But like this is a direction I don't think Marvel's ever stepped in terms of horrific kind of movie setting, which is kind of interesting because we're gonna get Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness. It's supposed to be
Which
a
is
horror.
supposed to be scary, yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a horror style, and that should be.
Which
I think they're
I'm
showing.
not super hyped about, but
I think it's gonna be
I'm
this
a big
type of
Weenie
horror.
Hut Junior, but
Okay. But I think so we'll end up seeing a lot of few stuff. But let's talk about I want to talk about the two MVPs. The two MVPs of the show. Let's
Okay.
talk about them. I'll go ladies first. Kat Dennings, Darcy Lewis. Basically the most fucking useful person at Sword.
oh
Can we
yeah,
acknowledge that this multi-billion-dollar secret government agency could not figure it out, and Kat Dennings' character comes in there with a laptop and
Yeah.
a fucking old-time radioactive monitor,
And crunches it out.
just like and then she gets into
the 90s nerd saved the day.
I loved it. And then she brings in like the old TV. What I think I love the most about this episode is Kat Dennings, Darcy Lewis, Jimmy Woo become us, the viewers. Like these people that do these podcasts,
Yes.
the people that do the YouTube channels, the people, the theorizers, the big fans. They create the board where they're just asking all the questions that
We've been asking.
that look like titles on YouTube. If you type in WandaVision and you compare notes, those same titles that are appearing, like, is Vision dead? Why are the hexagons, etc. Those are questions I've asked. Those are questions that are on YouTube.
Yeah.
And
Also,
I thought that was crazy.
We need to talk about Jimmy Woo when he first introduces himself and goes out to bring out his card and he flips it out for the magic trick.
Magic,
That was cool.
I
Which-
loved that.
which proves he did not get blipped out because he
Yep.
had to learn that, and it took
Yeah.
time. It did, yeah.
That entire opening scene was really funny. Like that happened, and then like
Mhm.
Monica Rambeau sitting there and asking the cops what Westview is, and them saying doesn't exist, as
Doesn't
the
exist.
sign for the city is in the background.
Yeah.
Where are you guys from? Eastview.
Eastview.
That'd be like some serious,
Dude,
like shitty, like
I
crosstown rivalry if they did that.
honestly probably Darcy was obviously awesome, but I think Jimmy Woo was probably my favorite part of that episode.
Jimmy was hilarious.
He was great.
He was so funny just the entire time. Like, just like, I think Darcy was also funny. She's like, they can't be changing times just for my enjoyment. Or it's a sitcom with 2 Avengers. It's a working theory.
It's a working theory.
It's a working theory.
But yeah,
I think if I gotta pick an MVP, just to be a little different, I'm gonna go with Wanda. Like Elizabeth Olsen just continues to kill.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
character.
we did get some behind the scene dialogue of that with her right now, and different angle from like what we've seen.
Yeah,
which is kind of, which I think is why our scores jumped drastically this week as well in our ratings.
Yeah,
but yeah, so I think Blip Horror moment. Jimmy Woo coming in clutch. I mean, I have one question though. Is like, who's this person that's in? What is it called when they change your identity and they move you to a different city?
WITSEC, witness protection.
Yeah, witness protection stage, which is witness protection. So there's some Jimmy Woo goes to Westview because he has somebody in witness protection.
Yeah,
and Jimmy Woo was on Ant-Man, Paul Rudd's character. So I'm feeling like the FBI is kind of giving him these pseudo X-Files of like, you know, the Marvel, the M-Files is what
I love where you're going.
Yeah,
yep, I know where you're going.
They've obviously have, and I think we all want to see that as well. That TV show that we've all talked about.
The Jimmy Woo
Disney
show.
Plus series.
Straight up, Jimmy Woo and Darcy Lewis.
Oh, it's like the new Fox and Scully.
Dude, yes.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. I think they'd kill it.
Someone had a fantastic tweet where it said, "Man, it was great to see Jim Halpert out there."
Oh yeah,
and that's such a great Office joke.
That's great, but I think that TV show would be lit though.
I think that would be sick.
What I would even love better is if they had like Fox Mulder and like Scully make like a cameo, like they just pay the actors to come back. Like it'd be so funny just to see them do that.
I'm gonna tie it back into what we were talking about earlier with Elizabeth Olsen and Wanda. We kind of hit the nail on the head in one of our previous breakdowns of these episodes where we talked about it feels like Wanda is the antagonist, not the villain.
Yeah, she's definitely the antagonist.
The antagonist. And 100% they confirmed it when Monica Rambeau came out of the dome and they asked her, like, what happened? She goes, it's all Wanda. And so it kind of confirmed our theory.
Yeah, definitely feel like Wanda is the one that wants to stay in this reality and doesn't want to leave whatsoever. And it's kind of terrifying how much she does not want anything to be disturbed.
Totally.
Yeah. Like we saw how scary she was in episode 3. Now we got a little bit more of a back view of it. And it goes to stand. I think Wanda's probably going to be the strongest Avenger. Moving forward.
Yeah.
Kevin Feige confirmed it.
Yeah, she almost killed Thanos in Endgame. That was very evident.
Kevin Feige in an interview said if it wasn't for Thanos blowing up half his own army in that moment, Wanda would have killed him.
But like at the same time, like Captain Marvel still exists, right?
Right. I'm not arguing that. I'm just regurgitating.
Oh
what
yeah. I don't know. Who do you think wins? Straight up fight: Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel.
Oof.
I don't know. It's what is it? Mind Stone versus Space Stone?
Space dust thing.
Yeah.
It's rough. She got her powers from the Space Stone. She got it from the Tesseract.
Yeah.
It's a tough one to go. I think it's very equal. Though reality bending is a little bit different than all cosmic powers.
Because you don't need to like kill Captain Marvel. You can trap her in a Westview.
Yeah, you could.
That's true.
Well, the other thing I was thinking is like, yes, I think those two are the two strongest, and then honestly, it's probably Doctor Strange, right?
Doctor Strange or Thor.
In terms of what his power could do. Yeah, Thor, Doctor Strange. Yeah, those would probably be my look.
That is the coolest thing. That I think is one of the major differences between the MCU and DC, like movies. the most powerful character in the DC universe is Superman, and he's also the most central character to the entire story. Like the most popular, the most central. The most powerful characters in the MCU aren't the fan favorites. They aren't the headliners. They aren't the protagonists. They aren't the like main
maybe
people.
Thor.
Maybe
Except
Thor
for,
or
yeah,
Hulk,
maybe Thor.
either one. But I mean, Hulk's only the strongest Avenger, to be perfectly fair, and Thor has just lightning, but he struggles with a lot.
And he's strong, but also like dumb.
I'm still of the mindset that I think two of the stronger event. Well, we haven't even begun touching on Silver Surfer. That is an entirely different conversation.
That's Cosmic Avengers.
I still think I'm about to bring up another Cosmic Avenger. Two superheroes that I think could rival who we have would be Nova. And then also
From the Nova Corps?
Like straight up Nova, when the Nova Corps gets decimated and they convert all the power to one person.
Mm-hmm.
And then also who we were kind of talking about could be a possible tie into the show, the Ghost Rider. Yeah. I've always been a mindset that I think the Ghost Rider is one of the stronger characters in MCU and Marvel. Granted, I'm biased, but
yeah, I'll take an argument for that too. But I could come up with a couple more that are way stronger than him.
But that was someone we were talking about in the actual pod, where this episode in this series may have an outside chance of bringing him into the MCU.
Definitely.
Yes.
Oh, for sure. There's definitely a chance. I think there's a lot of open doors right now. And also we did have a theory. Sorry, Caleb, go ahead.
I wouldn't be entirely surprised if we saw Ghost Rider in this series.
This series, Multiverse of Madness, anything like that. I think it's very open.
We are starting to tailor, obviously with Multiverse of Madness and then all the rumors of Spider-Man 3, we're starting to get into the multiverse realm.
Yeah.
And so it's entirely possible one episode, including this series where Mephisto has been referenced a couple times in this show, it's very possible someone could pop up and open a gateway to hell or something like that, or another alternate dimension where a Ghost Rider exists or something like that. Technically, we do have one Ghost Rider in the MCU, but it's not Johnny Blaze. I forget who the guy is. It's from the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show.
They've retconned shit from that show before too.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I don't know how literally we're taking that for the MCU, but I think it's entirely possible we bring the Ghost Rider in.
The Jimmy Woo Darcy show would be what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. should have been.
And X-Files with the Monster of the Week that we always love. That has two lovable characters that have a great dynamic together. Oh my God, I would kill for that.
Bingo.
Coulson was great, though. I'll give that to S.H.I.E.L.D. Coulson was great.
Coulson was the best part. Give me the M-Files. Give me the Marvel Files.
Just straight up call it the M-Files.
Yeah, call it the M-Files. Yeah, mutant. It's honestly probably going to be Mutant Files.
Yeah.
Where they just go around looking for mutants.
Especially once they start bringing on the X-Men.
That how we bring in the hunting down of the X-Men? That'd be kind of sick.
That'd be cool.
I would be sad if Jimmy Woo was the one hunting down the X. He wouldn't do that.
No, he's got to cover it up. Like he's gonna be the Fox like Mulder who knows all about it.
Yeah.
But that means Darcy Lewis has to be like the negative Nelly, like doesn't believe like mutants exist kind of deal.
That's true.
Which I would think that would be hilarious if they did have like, I don't think Darcy Lewis would do this, but Jimmy Woo is like the Fox Mulder who like knows all about the mutants and stuff or supers, and they could just give him this like ragtag fresh out of like FBI Academy person that's just like supers aren't real, that's fake, and they're just going at it each other. Like Captain America's like a real person. Like
that would be kind of tough to do in the MCU when like all of New York got destroyed.
People blipped
like
out
3 times.
Back. Yeah. Like conspiracy. It's like, what?
It'd be great. Just bring in a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. Which I do.
Bush did New York.
Bush. I think that's
Bush did Ultron.
I think that's it for questions on my part, but apparently Bush did it.
Yeah, I think I'm all good.
I'm good.
All right, guys. This has been Who Asked You for this review.
Lower Alec.